Hey guys, turkey season is in full swing right now, and if you are planning on getting after it, make sure to pick up some Meat Eater Phelps turkey calls to stuff into the old turkey vest or into your fanny pack right now. I carry a few different things. I like to use mouth calls, and I like to use pot calls. Mouth calls or diaphragms, I like them because it gives you hand-free calling, meaning when you're working a bird up close, you can have your gun on your knee, finger on the trigger, ready to roll, and still be making turkey sounds. I like pot calls because I just like pot calls. I enjoy calling with a pot call. Whatever direction you go, including a box call, which I don't personally use too much, but they're fun and great, and I started out with them. Yanni, on the other hand, one of my main turkey hunting buddies, he loves box calls. And what's funny is I'll now and then look to him and give him the look that means get out your box call and find us a turkey. So it's not that I don't like him. I just have Yanni use his. Then I don't have to carry it. Go to Phelps Game Calls. Get calls that are made in the USA and get calls that'll get them close. Find yours at phelpsgamecalls.com today.
Hey, this is Tyler.
And this is KC.
And you're listening to
The Element Podcast.
Tonight, I need you by my side. Hold on to me and keep me in the light. And when the shadows get
What's happening, all my woods people? Today, it is not the Whitetail Weatherman speaking to you. First off, it is Mr. Santa Claus Belly himself, Casey Smith. Man alive, I have got the dad bod rocking these days.
The boy's thick.
That's right. That is right. I've been weighing down the boat with my dad a lot. I still climbed a tree with Tyler yesterday.
Yeah.
We got out and did a little bit of stuff with, should we let the people know a little bit of something there?
Yeah, but barely.
Just barely.
Yeah.
We got a little help this year with the element stuff. So hopefully y'all can look forward to a little bit different type of production value from some of the hunts we do. Maybe a lot less frantic camera shake while we try to kill things.
Yeah, and there's actually a video where you can see you and I have conversations.
That's right.
Finally. So,
correspondence between the two of us.
Yeah,
How about that?
It's it just released, so us scouting around a little bit.
That's
Not
right.
a whole lot exciting or anything, but just some thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, there's never a bad time of year to be out in the woods. And tonight we are actually joined by my dad, Butch Smith. You'll probably hear me call him Dad in the podcast. I have a unique dad name for him. Supposedly it's Irish or something. I don't know, but is that? You remember that being
I
a
don't
thing?
know that it's Irish, but I know Bug. I know where that comes from.
Bug.
I call him Bug.
We come from a family of nicknames. I've been many things. I've been Mongo. I've been Quesadillas.
Now you're Mondo.
A lot. Mondo. That's right. Lloyd.
Lloyd?
Yeah, Lloyd.
Man, you kind of look like a Lloyd right now.
Nostradamus. Nostra.
Yeah, most commonly Nostra.
Nostra. I've been a lot of stuff. But we are at my parents' house. This is aptly named Elkhorn Cabin.
How high is it to the top right there?
It is from the floor to the peak of that ceiling, 27 feet. And I've been all
there.
27 feet of it a few times.
I've thrown you a board. I've thrown you a board up there
So,
for sure.
cool thing about Elkhorn Cabin is all three of us have worked on Elkhorn Cabin. Yeah. Tyler helped me hang a lot of the ceiling in here. Y'all can't see it. It's pretty cool. It's a 1x6. It kind of, you want to say shiplap, but that's not what it is. It's just wood, hardwood ceilings pretty much. The yuppie term would be shiplap possibly, but it's cooler than that. Kind of a white pine, look. There's
no lap.
Yeah, there's no lap. It's just ship.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's how it feels like it too. There are 3 elk heads in here, 2 of which my dad has shot, 1 I shot. And then Brennan Rhodes still owes me an elk head. One of these days, hopefully, I'll see it along with Tyler's Frankenstein, 11-year-old buck. He's had those for 2.5 years. He was doing European mounts for us. Given we weren't paying him anything, he just said he'd do it as a buddy deal.
Yeah.
But that's what happens when you do buddy deals.
Yeah, it's like I got a buddy who has a mowing business. You know, he won't let me pay him.
Yeah,
but he also won't show up when I need him to. You know what I mean? It's like half the time I'm like, man, I got to get it done this week. Got somebody coming to look at the house, or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's like 2 weeks later, I'm still wondering where he's at, you know. Like, dude, I will pay you 40, 50, 70 bucks.
right.
Like, what? We got to get this done.
Come
you know
on.
what I mean?
I'm trying to sell this place. Come in. You got to have a mowed yard. Yeah. So, me and my dad kind of have a pretty special relationship. I was the only child, and my parents were pretty young when they had me, relatively. Like nowadays, I mean, I'm 31 and just had our first kid, and you were 21, 22?
I was 23. It wasn't uncommon.
Yeah. That's kind of the, and there's still people having kids that age.
Everybody didn't go off to college back then,
Yeah.
wait till they got established or whatever. We just,
Yeah.
like Pop always said, boy, we just worried about making a living.
That's right.
I asked him one time, my dad, I said, well, what was it like being in the 60s when all that stuff was going on? He said, boy, all we was worried about was trying to make a living.
Yeah.
And all that other stuff didn't matter.
Yeah, free
he
love
said,
and
that's
all.
California.
Yeah. So, but me and both my parents, I did my best to have a respectful relationship with them, parent-son relationship, but also we have a lot of a friendship, too, between me and my dad and my mom. I think it's kind of an only child kind of thing, but I'm not, y'all tell me, I'm not your typical only child. I'm a little outgoing for an only child, I think, but I'm also sort of spoiled, as my wife mouthed that to me across the room right now. Little does she know, the spoilage goes both ways. So
I know a lot of only children, just so you know that. And
Yeah.
you are a lot more outgoing than most of the others.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them end up being musicians.
Not me.
I'm just saying that's why I know so many, you know what I mean? Like,
Because they're a little different.
I played with a bunch
Yeah.
of them. Yeah, they all, a lot of them, just that's kind of their entertainment when you don't have a sibling to play with. You either go outside.
I see he had
or
a
whatever.
dog named
Yeah.
Sam. That's what
I had a dog.
They kill rats.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, 6 hours a day. I'd come inside from about 12 to 2 when it was the heat of the day, and otherwise, me and Sam were outside digging holes, chasing rats. Whenever, how old was I whenever y'all bought Hog Farm Road?
Oh, like 2 or 3.
So I grew up on Hog Farm Road. Mama
You
says
remember-
3.
You remember that long ago?
I can remember back when I was 1.
Dude, you're
That's
nuts.
weird.
Yeah, it's
I
weird.
remember. I tell you what I remember. This is my first exposure to archery. You ready? Mm-hmm. My dad, whenever I was a little kid, he was still running around with some of his buddies, and they were going out there to Ty's Bow Shop and buying PSEs and cranking them down to like 80 pounds and shooting the Lunameras.
Yeah,
and
the size of your pinky.
That's right. The big 2275s or whatever they were. Mm-hmm. And I can remember the first place that we ever lived, or second, I guess, as a family. First I can remember was a little trailer house next to my grandparents. Oh, yeah. And there was a Lunamera out there that was probably bent. He'd been shooting, and I remember there was an oak tree in the front yard, and Mama had some bulbs in there, and I was like shoving that arrow down in that dirt. I wasn't like shoving it in the bulbs, but I just remember shoving that arrow in that dirt. I mean, how old was I?
You couldn't have been. You were still in diapers.
Yeah, I was a little bitty kid.
That's just crazy.
Yeah, that's
I can't
nuts.
remember. I can probably remember a little bit of my house when I was 5, but I can't remember any like instances or anything really.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot from there. I remember y'all sawing down a tree out front. I was pretty young too. There's a lot of crazy stuff happened whenever we were living in that little house.
There really was. Yeah. Pit bull somebody dumped out on us, had puppies under the house.
They had to dump hamburger meat out on the ground so
This
he could
girl was bad.
so he can get to the car to go to work. My granddad shot a hole in the back of the car with a BB gun.
Yeah, that happened. He also ran over the car with the 3-wheeler. Revving it up. He's like 60 years old, revving up 3-wheeler, popped it. Ran right in the side of a brand new car.
Oh, man. Yeah, Mazda 323. Y'all were hot stuff.
Exactly. It was 4-door.
Yeah, that's right. That's what you had to have. But, yeah, so, y'all kind of exposed me to the outdoors from a young age. And you mentioned Pop, which is your dad. That's what everybody knows him as Pop.
Right.
Do you know his real name? Mm-mm. Yeah. So his real name's Durwood.
No, I know that.
Well,
yeah,
his real name's Lonnie. Nobody
I don't
knows
know that for sure.
He was supposed to be LD when he was born, and I don't know if he ever went by LD, did he?
No, he's got it carved on his arm with a nail.
Yeah.
They branded him.
Didn't he, like, hot butter knife or something, or what they do?
Like a nail or something. They just got it hot. And
I thought you said an ale.
No.
Yeah. Nail. See, with the accent, it's hard to tell the difference in nail and ale.
It's pretty quick. My roommate in college took a hanger and branded his initials into his arm.
Boy, that's just...
My roommate in college branded a 4-leaf clover on his butt cheek. Y'all can guess which one that was.
How did Snot manage to do
No,
that?
not Snot. No, not Snot.
Oh, well, I know the other fellow.
Yeah, but a lot of branding. I don't have any brands.
I don't
That's
either.
good.
I was
Except for
not
the
brand
Element, you know.
Well, yeah, it's a digital lifestyle brand, right?
But your dad kind of was the catalyst to outdoors in our family. Pop
most
was.
definitely. Pop didn't grow up being able to hunt and fish. His family, it was just a dirt poor, work hard, and try to make a living. Because they didn't have. I can remember one time my granddad went fishing with us at Lake Quitman, and he really didn't know what to do. He didn't even know how to enjoy himself. It was just like he was so far out of his element.
Yeah.
If he didn't have a bulldozer controls in his hand, he didn't understand it.
Yeah.
He tried, but he just couldn't do it. And then Pop, in the late 60s, early 70s, if you just had the will and the desire to do it, you could just make things. Like we'd go to the coast and go fishing. There's no reason to carry a ski boat to the ocean and go fishing in it. But that's how we did it in the 70s. It's just like, boy, I'm going to do it, and we're doing it.
Without GPS or anything.
Oh, no, we didn't know how to read a compass.
Yeah.
We'd follow shrimp boats out 15, 20 miles, fish all day, and then hope that somebody went by to follow them back into the jetties. But Pop...
The ocean.
The
hoping
ocean.
somebody goes by.
Yeah, well, I see a boat going. Let's go follow that one. But Pop has...
Goodness.
And when you hit the jetties at the ocean, if you're not good at what you're doing, the boat's going to get swamped and you're going down.
Oh, yeah.
That timing and them waves.
Well, especially the two places y'all went.
Yeah,
San Luis Pass and Port O'Connor. Yeah.
It's the second set of jetties, man. It is brutal when those waves. And you got to ride them out. But Pop always, from running dozer stuff, had good depth perception. And, man, never had a hitch.
Yeah.
But the one time that we flooded out and had to spend the night, that pretty much done it for me. I was 13 years old. Waves were coming over the front.
So when you were 13, what was going on in the world?
Jaws had just came out. We're out there like 25. We carried extra gas. We all went together. Waves got 7 or 8 foot high. You couldn't see your buddies. CBs. We had CBs. Lost contact with CBs, and we ended up water coming over the front of the boat, flooded the motor out, and we had to anchor off all night long.
Oh, man.
And I'm 13 and wrapped up in a wet tarp, freezing and scared to death. Next morning, wake up, we're in a trash line, if you know what that is, where the currents come together, and there's like pallets and moss and weeds, sargassum grass, all piled, shark fins all around the boat. You throw something out, the line's zipping. Sharks. Boy, I was scared. But we hung up about 100-pound black tip while we were fishing, and Pop said, boy, stand up and fight him. I ain't standing up. I was scared. Man, I was scared.
Oh,
Didn't you cut the line on that or something?
I stayed down in the bottom of the boat, holding on to the forelock. The line zipping out and gets wrapped around a cleat and cuts it off. But we had a boatload of sharks back then. There wasn't no limits on nothing.
Yeah,
Kingfish, sharks.
You aren't doing anything with the sharks. I remember you
We were eating them.
Were you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fry them in hot grease. Make they taste good.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any other way?
Didn't y'all, in that same story, didn't y'all put a shark in the ice chest and it went to having pups?
Oh, they all did. They are, migrating through whatever they do to have the babies, the pups. And you'd put a shark in, it'd be 5 in there after a while. All about 1.5 pounds baby sharks in the ice chest.
Yeah, it's making more fish.
Bet more fillets, right?
That's right. That's right.
You fry them whole.
So, when y'all going out there, what were you trying to do? Just have fun, or you?
No, at that time, we always went out 15, 20 miles and got around the oil rigs. And we could catch kings. We caught the state record kingfish in about 76. We didn't know it was a state record. Look, we had to cut it in 4 pieces to get it in the ice chest. When we got it back in, it weighed 59 pounds, all the pieces.
After just the pieces bled
just
out and
the
everything.
pieces, just the hunks of the kingfish.
59 pounds.
And the record then wasn't but like 45 or 50.
It's like 72 now, I think, or something.
Yeah, it was a humongous.
That's still 59 pounds is giant.
It burned up a 4/0 reel when we hung it. It was a big
That's a
fish.
smoker.
But we were going out. We went out that time 35 miles to get out. We thought we'd get out further and catch red snapper, and we caught a few, but nothing too big.
And that's when you caught that 59 pounder. Y'all went out 30.
No, that was a different
How do you
time.
know you went 35 miles?
That's how far those rigs were.
Oh, y'all had a map,
Well,
and you
there's
could.
4 or 5 guys in other boats with us when we went out. It was all, they done talk to. We're talking Paul Lawrence, Jerry Bob Goodell, Freddie Rowell. Let's get out there and go. That's what we did. And we got out there, but we couldn't get back. But I had been out there one time with me and Pop and Jerry Bob. The waves we estimated were 13 foot high. You could not see over or behind. You had to stay on the back side of the wave. We turned around, we're out 20 miles. It's like, oh, we got to turn around. It's a little rough. So we're riding back in. Here I am, 12, and I am scared because all I can see is a wall of water behind me and a wall of water in front of me, and he's just riding that wave all the way back. And I look behind us, and a billfish comes up through her bait line and just thrashing. I never said a word because I was afraid he was going to slow down. I was like, no, we don't need that fish. I don't know what it is, but we don't need it.
Why'd y'all even have lines out at that point in
We
time?
were fishing.
Might as well.
Oh, man.
Golly.
I mean, these waves were monsters.
So is that the same time? I know there's a story that y'all brought some of your hillbilly cousins down there. They got to the jetties and didn't want to go out.
Well, I have an uncle that was in the Navy, and he was on the Navy ship, never had no problem. But in the ocean, in a smaller vessel, he got pretty sick. So we left them on the jetties, and we're going to come back by and get them.
Well, this ain't jetties that the town's right there.
No.
This is out on a barrier island.
It's a second set of jetties.
Yeah, it's
at Port
deserted.
Yeah, it's an island with jetties. 7 or 8 hours later, we come back by and pick them up.
What they do?
They sit around up there afraid to move because there's rattlesnakes all over them. It's like, there are rattlesnakes everywhere. It's like the time we left Plunkett on the beaver dam. He's scared of the canoe. He's like, I can't swim. Put me on this beaver. Me and KC come back 3 or 4 hours later. He's still sitting on beaver dam, catfishing, and fire ants were all over. They just eat him alive the whole time.
Dang.
Had to get out of the canoe. That was over in Running Creek. Yeah. That's back when the catfish used to go crazy over there. But
man,
yeah, a lot of fun stories. And then, really, my first experience in a boat with the two of y'all on the coast was at the same spot at the jetties.
Aluminium pop.
Yeah, I went something like when you're a kid, you're fascinated by the ocean, right? And me especially, and I think you probably were like this too, just by some of the stuff we've shared with each other. But like just something about just the idea of the ocean, not knowing what you're going to catch, that kind of thing, just drives you crazy. And I think we had farmed some watermelons that summer. And that was our vacation money.
That's how we always, if we made any money raising watermelons, we went to Venice, Louisiana one time, tuna fishing. Mm-hmm. Well, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Everybody came back with some type of problem with the gastrointestinal system.
Exactly.
From that one.
Beat to death.
Yeah. So,
that a 24-hour trip?
No.
About near.
It was, we're going 52 miles offshore. The guy tells me we can go in this old center console. It'll run 52. We'll be there in an hour. Or we can go in this cabin cruiser. It'll take 4 hours to get there. You got 4 hours to fish, and it's 4 hours back in. I said, man, let's go in a fast boat. Mm-hmm. I want to go fast. Well, 52 and 4 or 5 foot waves will just pound you.
Well, they set us up on that little squishy cooler on the front where, the nose of the boat's doing this. Yeah. They're back there in the captain's chairs just easing right along, Well, we
figured out on the way back in to get behind the console,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we also, here's what we do, and you know this about me already. This is where I learned it. When we go on a trip, it ain't like, oh, let's go halfway, sleep, wake up the next day and go. We left to go to Venice, Louisiana like 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and we got there at like 3:30 in the morning, and we were supposed to get on the boat at 4:30.
We got lost in New Orleans.
Yeah, we got lost in New Orleans.
Hey, don't get lost in New Orleans.
I don't want to.
At midnight. It ain't a good place to be.
I've been knowing where I was at in New Orleans at midnight, and it was not a good thing.
No, it was no good. No. We were pulling a boat, flat-bottom boat, right?
No, we was in that little white Mazda.
We didn't take the white Mazda to New Orleans.
Yes, we did.
No way. No, we took it to Port Aransas. No.
We slept in it.
No, that was in Port Aransas.
I'm telling you.
All right, whatever you say. But either way, I think we brought the boat because we were going to try to fish on the...
Oh, we did. And we waited. We waited around and fished. And that's when the game warden come up and said, talking about Pop, said, can you do anything with him? I said, no.
Didn't have his fishing license or nothing.
He ain't got a saltwater stamp. He's got a flounder in his back pocket. I cannot. He's 75. I can't do nothing with him. You do something with him. It's your job. I'm not going to break the law, but I ain't going to say
We got lost in New Orleans. It was like 1:30 in the morning, and this cop pulls up and can tell by what we look like that we wasn't supposed to be there, if you know what I'm saying.
I was headed into the store to ask for directions. It's for GPS or cell phones or anything. I'm headed into the store in New Orleans to ask for directions. As I'm walking towards the store, a fella comes around the corner towards me, and a lady comes walking across the street towards me. I'm nearly to the door, and a cop comes flying up. What are you doing here? I said, Bud, we're lost. Follow me. Get in your truck and follow me. He's got us out of there.
Oh, man.
That was before the hurricane and stuff. Things are a lot different back then, I think. I think it's a little bit different town now.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff kind of got destroyed and messed up. But we went to Venice and went tuna fishing. Well, yeah, that's not what you're supposed to do in Venice. You're supposed to go red fishing in Venice, but we didn't know.
I wanted to go tarpon fishing.
Yeah, that's the whole time. The whole reason we started going was that you called the Chamber of Commerce down there trying to figure that out.
I asked them. I said, who can carry us tarpon fishing? What are you saying?
This before internet, right? You had to get on the phone and call the Chamber of Commerce of some city
right, to get you into the direction.
That's how you used to get deer leases too.
Call this person. Man, I want to go tarpon fishing. What are you saying? Tarpon. Tarpon. You want to catch tarpon.
So you thought we were saying carp?
Yeah. Are you saying carp?
You want to go carp fishing?
No.
Tarpon.
Not driving there to go carp fishing.
Go catch a tarpon.
Well, somehow or another, we got a hold of this guide who was...
it was Venice Marina. It was the biggest deal going at the time.
Well, he was running out of there. I don't think he worked for
his
Venice.
dad owned it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this young guy we went out with, him and his buddy, his dad owned Venice Marina before the hurricane, so it doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah, it's down there. They rebuilt and stuff.
Well, I know they've rebuilt, but the building we went to.
Yeah, no, it looked a lot different back then.
Y'all went tuna fishing?
We went boat riding.
We
saw some big tuna.
Oh, man.
We saw some couch-sized tuna.
Really?
Yeah, they were schooling like sand bass, but its water's 2,000 foot deep. By the time you get to them, they're down, and you're trying to,
We were throwing big poppers for them. Well, we tried to troll rainbow runners or something. Yeah.
We caught a few small ones.
Yeah, no, we came home with like 4 like 20, 25 pounder. We probably fried them because we didn't know what the heck we were doing.
Well, of course we did.
I
got to get some more coconut.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect, beautiful. Tuna fish. Yellowfin tuna fish fillets. I'm sure we saw some people catch a pretty good size while we were out there. I caught a barracuda.
Yeah,
that was cool.
That is cool.
I was like 11 or 12. A barracuda's a pretty cool thing.
Oh yeah.
I was pretty stoked about that. But my dad and him, y'all were getting broke off on poppers, and they ended up. Well, we had brought, because we're rednecks, we brought some of our fishing stuff too. Guys love it when you do that.
They do.
Well, they broke off enough poppers that y'all took a popping cork and rigged it and turned it into a topwater. And it worked. It worked. Had like a treble hook off the back of it, and you take that popping cork, and the treble hook's right at the back, right? It's not like it's hanging off like a leader.
Yeah.
And you just chunk that thing out there.
What was hitting it?
20, 25 pound yellowfins.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was cool.
Yeah.
I wasn't big enough to chunk that big rod at that point in
time.
So
them big ones y'all saw were schooling.
Yeah, 100, 150 pounders.
It was the size of this love seat.
Oh, my goodness.
It was cool.
Were they jumping out of the water?
Yeah.
Dang, man.
They're coming up from 2,000 foot, seeing bait, that's how deep the water was, seeing bait and just exploding like sand bass on the top. And within 30 seconds, they're gone.
Yeah.
And then you look, and they're a mile over there. But we're all around these oil rigs 52 miles out. It was pretty cool.
There's blue water out there.
I bet.
So I didn't sleep a lick that night because I was so excited, being a young preteen. And when we showed up, I was digging hunks of rotten meat out of the trash can and catching hardheads in the canal. That's how excited I was to go.
Hey, that stuff was glowing in the dark.
Yeah,
too.
it had some bioluminescence.
Yeah, it was doing it.
Yeah, it was weird. We were like, what's it? We didn't have a clue, right? We were like, man, there's some kind of like chemical down here in the water.
Shut all that damn chemical waste.
Yeah, but I remember I almost fell in the water asleep. Like I remember I almost fell off the boat. And,
just too tired, huh?
Just too tired.
And no way to do it.
Yeah, and we made, trying to just force it. And part of it, was because you were working nights at the milk plant, right. And, you didn't have it. Time off was limited, and I don't know, Pop was probably bulldozing still at that point in time.
I think he probably was.
We just try to do stuff on weekends, and that's how the world used to work and still does for a lot of people, You and I are bum enough that we don't do things on the weekend, but we also
I've been reconsidering who I actually am.
I know.
Lately. Yeah,
I know.
I'm not sure if I'm
when
doing
you start
it right.
actually having grown man bills, you're like, Dad, gummit. What mortgage? But yeah, so that we did that in pretty much less than 24 hours. We were back with 4 or 5 tuna fish.
Yeah.
And we
kind of fished our way back.
Yeah,
up
fished our way back.
in the bays and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the hotel we stayed in.
Oh man, we stayed in Sketch Hotel like in Orange or something like that.
Man, no empathy or no sympathy here because I've stayed in some sketch hotels.
I mean,
in
this
my
was
life.
bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
I've been okay. I'm not that weird about bed bugs and stuff, when I stay at hotels. But I have. There's been one time when we were recording an album in Austin. We got out, studio like 2 a.m. and we're like, man, we got to find a place to crash. We went up to this place called the Sands Motel, South Austin, and had bars in the windows. And we go up there, and they're like wondering if we're going to thug them when we come up, and we pay it and everything like that. And we walk in, and it is straight out of a Hollywood horror scene. It's just like you walk in, and there's like the TV's on, but it's like black and white,
Right.
flashing. You're like, what is going on in here? I walk in, I start checking closets and stuff, and no lie, it was cold, so I had a jacket, and I slept on top of the covers in my jacket, my pants, and my shoes that night. And I've never done that, man. I've stayed in some bad hotels. It was bad.
That's
bad.
that not in the past. You couldn't plan as well as you can now. Your cell phones. You got all that. Me and my cousin went to Lake Texoma striper fishing. We caught one really pretty good striper, but we spent the night in about the same deal. And we're laying there, and my cousin Pancho, he says, "BS, I think that's a I think that's a blood stain on the wall." He said, "I'll pay for it. Let's go to Denison and get a Holiday Inn." I was like, "Man, it ain't that bad." "Oh, let's go." And we did. We got up and left. It was terrible.
Man, yeah, that's I can't believe you only caught one striper up there.
Well, we really didn't know what we was doing.
Yeah.
And how we caught that one, it was wounded swimming around up on top. I said, "It's about to die." And he threw that dip net over the top of it to pick it up and look at it. And it was a humongous striper. And it exploded. I guess it got stunned somehow or something. I don't know. Maybe it'd been
Exploded?
It exploded to life.
Oh,
when
okay.
Dip it up. Like you done 2 catfish on the Trinity.
Yeah.
Grab them things. Let's look at them. Well, by the time you get to it, that's when it comes. It's got one more.
Let's get back to the striper story, but tell them about that 2 catfish thing because I've never heard or seen that. Like, I went to school for marine biology for a short stint, right? Like, nobody ever talked about this.
Oh, we were on the Trinity River. We used to run it a lot. Not a lot. We did it some trying to get we always wanted to catch a big alligator gar, and then we've seen them 7-8 foot long, 300 pounds. Like, I got to catch one of those. We're cutting up the river from, wasn't that Trinidad?
No, it's Riverside.
Yeah, Riverside. Top side of what lake is it?
Livingston.
Lake Livingston, yeah. We're about 5 or 6 miles up, and we're going along pretty fast in the boat, and look up, and there's 2 15, 20-pound catfish. I thought they had gotten a trot line and twisted up on each other. We get closer, and they're actually mouth to mouth locked up on each other like this, and I'm like, "KC, grab it." By the time he does, they turn loose and swim off. I think they were territorial fights or something going.
They're just like fighting or something. It was the weirdest thing.
Wouldn't let go of each other.
No, they had each other by the jaw. Maybe they're trying to eat each other or something. I don't know.
They were mad. That's what I think.
Yeah, it's a strange deal. But on that striper trip, is that the one where y'all saw smoke curling off the end of the rocket?
That was me and Eric. Eric and I were on Lake Texoma. Eric had an aluminum low boat. Was a good boat, take rough water. It's thundering and lightning carrying on, and the guide that we had run up on down there we was talking to, he's like, "Man, I don't think we ought to be going out, but I'm going. I'm getting paid." Well, I guess we will too. We're out there with 4 or 5 other boats. Eric had built him a homemade rod holder that stuck he like a 10-foot surf casting rod. That's about what he had, sticking straight up, and it's cloudy and carrying on. A little while, whoom, lightning, thunder and lightning. Look over the top of his rod, and there's black smoke curling off there. I was like, "Whoa, we might want to get on the bank." An aluminum boat out in the middle of the Lake Texoma. No, Texoma will eat you. It's like Tawakoni. It'll eat you.
For sure.
If you get the chance, it will eat you.
Well, that's what I was going to say about, stripers is, guides can go out there and smoke them, but it's such a big lake, man. you could be way off of a school.
If you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's just luck of the
I had a teacher in high school that got struck twice by lightning and was alive, teaching afterwards still.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he got struck once in a boat fishing and once on a bike, I think. I think that was it. But,
Yeah.
yeah, crazy. He kind of, you could tell he had been hit by lightning.
Could you really?
Yeah, he kind of had some like slow things that he would do. Nicest man you would ever meet, man. Loved him, but he was a little bit had some weird things. Kids like to make fun of him quite a bit,
Yeah.
So,
Man, we've done some like sketchy weather stuff throughout, run around him. And really, my dad, of the three of us, me, my dad, my granddad, he's the one who is the most sound-minded in situations like that, usually. But like it's always like, oh, we can do it, whatever. Well, when I was in high school, bow fishing was like a cool thing, right? And my granddad has a bow fishing boat pretty much. He's since adapted it to, well, we went offshore 12 miles in it one time. It's a 19-foot flat bottom. And we were offshore.
And the whole time I'm saying, let's don't do it. KC's 14, 15, Pop's 70. We can make it. It won't be no problem. Yeah.
Well, we made it.
I know.
We saw some cool stuff.
And the next weekend, what happened?
The
motor blew up.
It had a 1979 Mercury on it, and this is about 2004. Whenever, just a not very proven motor. We went out 12 miles to a oil rig, caught some cool stuff, triggerfish, some little gag groupers or something.
Yeah, mangrove snapper or something.
Yeah, rednecks fishing, right? Carried a little squid, a little shrimp out there with us, just did our thing. And, came back, and then me and Pop were out on Tawakoni the next weekend. That motor blows a piston. We were on Tawakoni. We could have been 12 miles out in the Gulf of Mexico, headed to Mexico, but luckily, good Lord said, "No, y'all come back home."
Pop always says we're going to Cuba. That's what he says, boy. If the motor blows,
No. Yeah,
we were at the oil rigs one time. Pop and I were tied up to oil rigs, 15, 20 miles out. I'm like 12, 13. We went a lot back then. I'm on the front of the boat, little gold hook with a shot and weight, and I'm just slapping that gold hook in the water. And every time it hits the water, I don't know what there was, but I had about 100 of them in the front of the boat. About little AJs, I don't really know what they were. Pop's at the back of the boat, and there's a fish under the boat as big as the boat. And I'm like, what is? And is it a moonfish?
No, you're probably talking about like a sunfish or
sunfish.
Or, what a moa is?
Yeah, moa.
Yeah, we didn't know what it was, but it was down there, and you could see it. Pop's like, it won't hit nothing, but if I hang it, we going to Cuba. That's what it's just, it won't hit. And you could see it down there. It was just barely moving. It was as big as the boat. I was like, what is it? I was scared again.
He was doing paddlefish snag, wasn't he?
I don't know what the heck it was, but I assume that's probably what it was.
Yeah.
It was a big fish.
Man, they got some cool stories. Well, I was telling the bowfish story. We got to get back to the coast because there's too many good ones there. But we were out, me, my dad, Pop, and then my friend Tyler Francis, who was one of my running buddies from probably about 5 to we graduated, right? And Tyler was a little bit scaredy, I guess you could say.
Biggest kid you ever been around.
Oh yeah,
big kid.
I could always put him on the ground.
I know who he is.
Do you?
He's related to Aaron.
Yeah. He's Aaron's cousin.
I know him. He's huge.
Yeah, giant. Yeah. Well, at that point in time, he wasn't that big. I was probably 13. He was 12. And we were gone out bow fishing that night, and I hadn't seen a whole lot, but a front blew in while we were out, and we didn't really realize it because we were up in coves and stuff, But we knew it was getting cold, and then we started. It's like time to head back, so we start heading back across the lake, and it's kind of rough. But it's at night; you can't really see what's going on. We had the lights on or whatever, but apparently we were taking on a decent amount of water with waves.
With a generator running.
Running. We pull up to the 154 boat ramp, and somebody's gonna, get out to go get the truck or whatever. And whenever we cut the engine off, Pop's driving, the back of the boat just goes. Whoo. We sank the boat right there.
And the wind was howling.
The wind was getting it, dude, and that boat sank. Probably in 3 foot of water, something like that.
The boat. I got to give the boat this. It doesn't sink. It just fills up with water. Pops fill it up with water 4 or 5 times.
Oh yeah.
The last time he called me, he said, "Well, I sunk my boat." It's over here at the mouth of Birch. Come and get me. So we get 5-gallon buckets. Me and a friend go over there. We're going to bail him out. Well, Pop had left the Bill's pump running. And when we get there, the boat is pumped out, floating, and it's just floating around out there. People are like, whose boat is that?
Yeah, they probably thought somebody's dead. You know,
right. Where's the guy that goes with this boat?
Yeah,
But
we've seen some weird stuff at the lodge there, kind of, same type of stuff. Actually, Cody, he bought a boat from my dad that my dad used as a rental boat for a long time at the lodge. And, a north wind hits the retainer wall there at the lodge. And so, most of our stalls for the bass boats are on that facing the north side open, or whatever. And he left it in there, and man, when a storm, we've had several boats sink in a storm right
from
there.
the north.
Yeah, because the boats are, the back of the boat, the lowest part of it is facing into the wind, and them waves just crashing. He sunk his boat, man. I got a good picture of him, man. He's sitting there with his boat sunk in the background, just 2 thumbs up, smiling as big as he can. He just looks stressed, man.
That's funny. Well, that night, Pop wasn't old, but he's older. He's probably 65.
Yeah, probably so.
And we were trying to recover the situation, and it got to where we were just going to do it the next morning. But he got hypothermia, had to go to the truck. He got so cold.
And the wind blowing 30, 40 miles an hour. It wasn't that cold.
It's probably 55 or something.
Yeah, probably 50, 55. But the closest I ever come in freezing death was about 50.
Yeah.
I got wet in the rain, and the wind was blowing, and I didn't know if I was making back the truck. I mean, hypothermia can get you.
Yeah.
And it liked to got popped that night.
Yeah. Well, we had to come back the next morning to recover the boat and everything. And my dad had lost his wallet, left his wallet in the boat. We get there, and there's dollar bills all in the waves.
Well, there was 3 or 4. I wouldn't say it's all. There was some 20s and a couple
but
more.
didn't you you had like $30-something and you recovered $26 worth of it?
Right. It was in the bottom of the boat and floating around.
They're all right there. And we got the dip net out and got all the money out.
Oh, my goodness.
That was kind of the redeeming factor of the whole
He
thing.
was the original make it rain dude.
That's right, dude.
Yeah.
Dadgummit.
He was making it rain.
But I mean, that was kind of weird because nothing bad really happened out of that deal. We got the boat unsunk, and
it was poor judgment.
Yeah,
that's what it was. We should have never went in the first place. And I was saying, let's don't go. And there y'all are, teenagers, and Pop. He don't need much encouragement.
No,
and he wouldn't right now. He's 81.
Oh, we call him right now. Yeah, call Brenham. Let's go.
You want to go bow fishing? Yeah, they up in there rolling.
Yeah,
right?
Let's go bison hunting. That's what he says about them buffaloes.
Yeah, buffaloes.
Yeah,
man, we seen them at the Hagerman today.
Really?
I told Hagerman National Wildlife Refuge.
Yeah,
they told me about all the rough fish and stuff are there. We went over looking for birds.
There's a 70s word for you, rough fish.
Yeah.
Rough fish.
Well, rough.
I'd say early 2000s is about the time it petered out.
Yeah,
though,
you think?
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Uncle Si. No, but there were a lot of carp and buffalo rolling and carrying on.
Yeah.
And people getting cooked over trying to catch a channel cat. I mean, there's no trees or nothing.
Man.
It's a cool place to visit, though.
What'd y'all do over there?
We were looking for birds, and we saw quite a yellow warbler, northern parula, we're pretty sure. And the one that I hadn't seen, I don't believe, was a red-necked faralope, I believe is what it's called. But it's a shorebird. But, we've seen 51 different bird species. We was pretty happy with it.
That's cool.
Good
They got like marshes over there and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of it.
Yeah. Y'all been doing or Carrie's been doing some Instagram stuff.
She has.
She's got, what is it, Carrie.Butch.birding.
Yeah.
Is the Instagram.
Butch and Carrie Birding, I think. You can search one of those or whatever, you'll find it.
Elkhorn Cabin, she has a few things she's made for birding related for education of kids.
The bird thing on Instagram, y'all, my mom's an artist, a real good one. And I grew up playing this thing called the memory game, where it's like a matching game or whatever, and then she decided to throw a nature twist on it pretty much and has painted up a bunch of bird cards.
Yeah, bird identification cards to teach young kids. And we thought about Stone when we were doing it.
Stone's my son.
We got some for my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure did. And we appreciate it.
Yeah. They're cool. I like them.
It's kind of a, when the kid's 4 or 5 years old and not able to go chase alligators yet, you got to find something for them to look at birds.
When they're not 13 and can't go out, 20 miles out in the ocean,
Catch shark.
Yeah, exactly. Tyler and his wife and the kids have got the best bird feeder you ever seen now.
That's what he
They
told
bought a mulberry tree, and all of a sudden it's bird central. Right? It's cool, man.
I love it, man.
If the kids will stay off the mulberries.
Journey loves them. I was talking to Butch earlier, and we both agreed they're not our favorite thing in the world.
I can eat them, and they're all right, but I'd sure rather eat a blackberry or a fig.
Too.
Those are coming.
Or a good old peach off the peach tree. We eat the birds off of that.
Yeah.
But a mulberry's a bird attractant. We found that out when we lived down there at the nature center. There's a few mulberry trees, and there's always tanagers on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we grew up hunting a lot, and I actually kind of got a job. I've talked about this in the podcast a lot, but I worked for the state doing nuisance animal control, mostly hogs and coyotes. And then y'all ended up moving down south near where I was, kind of following me and kind of doing your own thing too. And y'all had a pretty good, cool gig going while you were down there.
We had a lot of fun with it. I worked at Swing Bridge. Kerry worked in Sweeney, and we lived at the Matagorda County Birding Nature Center, which was right on the Colorado River.
What's a swing bridge?
Swing Bridge is for traffic going back and forth from Sargent to the island. Excuse me.
Across the Intercoastal Canal?
Across the ICW. And it's basically car traffic, but when a barge comes up the ICW, you got to get the bridge out of the way, they've almost got the overhead bridge completed. The guy sent me a picture of it today. But, I'm sitting right there, and the ICW's there, and the ocean's about a half a mile, not even that far, a quarter of a mile, so I'm looking at everything.
And it's flat down there,
and
you're
elevated.
30 feet up.
Right. I had the best view as far as bird watching and, whatever.
Yeah, you just punched a button every once in a while.
That's about it. Swung the bridge out of the way and watched the oyster catchers or the Wilson's Farrellope and the avocets.
And green herons and what was it? White crown night herons at night?
Yeah, all the time on the cables down there, redfish coming in under the lights, and I had to keep people off the bridge because there's like 55 and 6 pound redfish all out underneath the lights. And I'd walk the bridge at night, shine the spotlight, and there's just shrimp just lined up on the bridge, up and down it. You could see their eyes glowing. It was way cool.
Yeah.
We enjoyed it.
But the swing bridge was it was cool, but that was like one of the lesser cool things y'all had going down there, right? Where you lived.
Oh, where we lived was fantastic.
Yeah.
Y'all lived at the nature center,
At
right?
the nature center, and it was some folks had really put a lot of money into it in the past, and it had a lot of fruit trees, figs, oranges.
Tyler reaped the benefits of that the other day.
I did. We were down there. Got those pomelos.
Oh, yeah, you went.
Yeah. Got some loquats, but they weren't, I don't think they were quite ready when we got them. They were real sour.
Here's the problem. All that stuff, not necessarily so much the citrus, but the loquats and the figs and the mulberries, and there's 2 or 3
peaches.
big peaches.
Yeah.
All over it. I go by and there's like peaches and pecan trees and all these Mustang grapes. Well, you're thinking, I'm going to get those. Well, about the time they get ripe, they're gone.
Yeah.
Because the birds and the squirrels, it's unbelievable. And did you see any alligators there?
We did. We saw one. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
About a 6 footer, maybe 5, 6 footer.
They're everywhere. Anywhere in that area that there's fresh water, it's got alligators. You might not see them, but they're in there. KC was wading around out in that canal behind the nature center, catfishing, you remember? And like a week later right there, there's like an 8 or 9 foot alligator swimming up. And I was like,
Well, I was trying to catch alligator gar on a fly.
Yeah, and
I hung a couple of them. I was about to break the record hardcore.
Oh, that's where, okay.
Yeah.
I'm putting it together now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was about to break the record ain't nobody going to touch this if I could land one. We're talking 6 or 7 footers.
yeah, they were big alligators.
Big alligator gars.
It's in rice canals.
Yeah. And I was casting at those gar, and I'd bring it over one or whatever, and if he didn't hit, I was just bringing it in and ended up catching 2 12 or 13 pound blue cats or channel. I don't know what they were. Probably big male channels, I bet.
Probably so.
On a fly rod, just in this nasty old canal. I was like,
Dang.
well, this is cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool place. Were the zip lines there when you were there?
Yeah, we were part of
We rode those.
agreeing with putting them up at that time. That place kind of hurts the outdoor interest. Y'all know how it is for kids nowadays. They spend a lot of time inside. They go to school. They're playing on the computer. They got games they're playing. And we were trying to do everything we could to get kids interested in coming to the nature center. And we did a lot of outdoor education. We'd go to the Boys and Girls Club there in Bay City and educate the kids and have a good time. Get them interested and carry them around on the tram and play games, Had a pretty good time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you're always trying to figure out new ways to get kids interested.
Man, it's a battle for me with I got a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old, and they're, my wife talked me into letting my 8-year-old get a, Nintendo or whatever, and I was against it big time, but I mean, we all know right now that our wives can make us do things that we don't want to sometimes. And so he, you know, and I'm all about being outside and growing up. I grew up doing it. You know, I catfished all summer long, every day, all day. That was what I did, you know. And I mean, I had a Nintendo when I was, you know, probably before I was a teenager, you know, but I don't think I played it a whole lot.
They weren't quite as addicting when we were kids, man.
Not as real and cool.
The games were different.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, having a Mario Kart party was a thing. That was fun.
Yeah.
But it's not like you went home every day and just played Mario Kart.
No, I mean, playing by yourself was not all that fun, really. So, I don't know. But it's a battle, man, because I got to, you know, every time I turn around, he's on that thing, you know, and I'm like, get off of it, you know. I mean, and if you don't ask me next time, you're going to not be on it for another day, you know. But it's weird because we've gone on some big trips. I'm sure Casey's probably told you about that the last couple of years. In the summertime, just big long family trips, camping all the way, you know, and everything. And I mean, we did 28 days last year, and we only stayed the night twice in 2 spots. And so we were moving, you know what I mean? We were traveling, and I mean, the year before they didn't have Nintendo or anything, and last year they didn't use it that much at all. I mean, if we're traveling and keeping them pretty entertained, it's a deal. But like when you're sitting here in East Texas in June or July and it's 100 degrees outside, I mean, it's kind of like, well, I can't really force you to go outside and get burnt and dehydrated, you know. I mean, I don't know. It's a battle right now that I'm trying to figure out how to navigate, you know.
Something, whatever it takes to perk their interest in the outdoors. You know, for a kid, a lot of times you won't, let's go fishing. We're going bass fish. Well, go perch fishing or go sand bass fishing. It's like, honestly, hunting. If a kid has the opportunity to shoot a lot, you know, duck hunting, you know, if you have a good spot, or maybe dove hunting or something, that kind of keeps them entertained. But at the same time, you know, they're getting to do stuff. You know, that's what. And reeling in sand bass every 2 seconds is a lot of fun when you're in them, you know.
Yeah, that was some of the most fun you and I had, was who could get to 25 the fastest. Boy, that was fun.
Who's going to clean all these?
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing Pop's good at, is cleaning fish.
We do catch and release. If I go crappie fishing, I don't want my limit of crappie. I want 3 or 4, and that's all I'm going to eat. I don't like to freeze them. And,
that's coming from a guy who fishes a lot. Me, I don't get to catch crappie very often, so there's about one time a year that I catch crappie and keep them. That one day I'm trying to get like 25 if I can, and I've been a little bit more this year than I had the last couple of years, and I catch I think Casey and I a couple times been together and caught 2 or 3, you know, here and there, and I usually will throw those back if they're still alive, you know.
It's like the other day we caught 2. I was like, I need 1 more.
Yeah, we caught 3. One of them I slung back to you, and he fell off as he was coming in the boat and hit the boat and went in.
Dadgummit.
And then I lost that one right off the bat, you know. But I don't know. I like catching a mess of them and having. I mean, it's almost like crawfish, or if you go down and buy fresh shrimp, it's like, man, you get it like twice a year, you know, and it's a kind of a special deal for me, you know. But you live right here on the lake.
I just don't really like them frozen. Is my deal. I think more so than anything.
Good point. Yep.
I'd rather catch them like I got one channel cat right now. That'll make a meal for me. He weighs 2.5, 3 pounds, and that's
you got him tonight?
Yeah.
Well, how'd you catch him? On a
chatterbait,
jig
chatterbait.
On chatterbait?
Yeah. It's like that big app I caught on the jerk bait. Weighed like 50 pounds. It was like I got a new world record.
This Alf has grown a little bit every time.
No.
He's not bad about doing that, but this
he
one
was
has grown.
42 last time I heard.
I know.
Well, you know.
He's big either way.
He ate 8-pound bass just before he got on there.
It was a big fish to be catching on a bass rod.
I promise you.
So earlier you were talking about, you know, piquing their interest and stuff. I can remember a lot of different things that we did growing up, and I don't know. I'm sure there was some point in time you can remember me kind of falling away from outdoor interest and having to get me back into it and stuff. But do you remember the thing that like I really gravitated towards, or was it just kind of a big mix?
I think you kind of like duck hunting, really, when you were 9, 10 years
really?
old. Yeah, because we had that pond behind the house.
Yeah, that's true.
You killed a redhead, and man, you thought that was like
I stalked it. I remember
it was
that.
like a golden bird.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
it's like, this is the coolest bird ever.
I felt the same way growing up, man.
I don't know. We just when you got about 9 or 10, you thought you want to play video games. That's when I got
Yeah.
the bicycle, canoe, and we started running all the time.
Boy,
I was
howdy.
like,
He
you
used to
ain't
make
going
me-
to be the fat boy.
he
sitting on
made
the
me
couch.
run.
It ain't happening.
I'd be crying
Yeah, he
and
would.
throwing up.
Look, it was like a mile, half a mile around our 8-acre pasture, however much. And I'd give him 1 lap head start. And if I catch you and pass you, you're going to run another one. Tyler, I'd be gaining on him. I could hear him. He'd hear my feet coming. And I'd kind of lay off of him a little bit, let him get ahead.
That's
Man,
what-
we got to riding bicycles a lot, and I got the canoe. We'd hit the creeks,
That canoe, and that's what I remember being our thing.
Yeah.
Is like, we spent a ton of time in the canoe, man, like hog hunting
Yeah, right.
and duck
Everything.
hunting, fishing, whatever.
It's cheap operating.
Yeah.
You carry it anywhere, throw it in. At that time, I didn't have the money to spend on a boat and a motor.
Mm-hmm.
We just got canoes and kayaks and stuff, and it's simpler. And you ain't got to worry about breaking down unless you break
Yeah.
your paddle when you go
or
to
you
the ocean.
get somewhere where you can't go no more.
Yeah.
So one time, me and my dad had this bright idea. We're going to put in one side of the lake, canoe. Well, we duck hunted that morning, and we were going to like fish and hog hunt our way out.
That's a
It was
Yeah.
a long
that's an
trip.
extravaganza.
It
right
was
there.
quite extravagant. And we took the wrong river, and it ended up petering out before you got to the road.
Oh man!
So we had to ditch the canoe like 2 miles back in the woods
We
and
didn't know
walk
where
out.
we were at. I
That's
didn't have
before cell phones and stuff then too.
I
you
didn't
know.
have a clue, but we could hear highway. We could hear the highway.
Well,
Like,
he'd lined it out. Pop was going to come pick us up
Yeah,
at
right.
dark.
Yeah.
And we figured out how to get to the highway through the woods, and we tied the canoe up to the tree.
Yeah.
And it was there when we went back like a couple weeks later to go get it.
well, we saw so far back in there, wasn't nobody else going in there.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think we tied it up to keep the flood from
Yeah.
ripping
Probably so.
it out of there or whatever. But yeah, we did a lot of crazy stuff in the canoe, and then
Ever go out in the ocean in the canoe?
Just kayak. We use kayaks, run shark baits out and stuff.
yeah.
We got some interesting stories with Carrie in the kayak.
Oh man, she ain't in here right now. My mom, she's a trooper, man. She'll get
She'll
out there
hang
and,
with you.
She'll get out there and do some
You
stuff.
tell her she can't do something,
Oh.
it's fitting to happen.
Yeah.
I don't care if she AMBA 5'1", it's going to happen.
she gets a little scaredy sometimes though.
We went at South Padre. We had a couple of kayaks, 2, that's all we had. All right, we had South Padre. You can drive back up the beach 23 miles. You're at the Port Mansfield jetties. There's nobody there except for a few fishermen. Well, on the side we were on, the fishing wasn't very good, so we thought we'd take a kayak across the ship channel, go to the other side. It's fantastic. Fish are blowing up. We're catching fish, and I was like, Casey, we need to go get your
Big
mama.
jacks.
Yeah, big jacks. Go get your mama. So KC, or I don't remember how it worked out. I'm standing on jetties. KC carries a kayak tied to his kayak back over to get her. We talk her into coming, and she's coming. And of course, it's the perfect storm as far as waves go when she's out there, and a shark rolls over and sees her. And by the time she got to the end of the jetty, she was crying, but she was, help me. I said, you got to keep paddling because you're fixing to get eat by these waves on these jetties. So she goes right around the jetties. And right back up there, man, when we get up on the jetties end, the water's clear. You can see the mullet, just a stream of mullet. And every time they come by, the jacks just blow up.
Oh.
I mean, explosions. So we're taking mullet and sending them. Well, I missed a jack. He bit a mullet in half, and then I caught a 27.5-inch trout on that. And I was like, man, this is cool. KC caught about a 27-incher.
What happened to your trout?
All right, we put them on a big long stringer, put them down in the rocks in the water. Go back an hour or 2 later, pick it up, and there's nothing but the head left. There's raccoons
Oh,
all
really?
on these. Yes. You walk off, leave the ice chest, and look back behind you, and that raccoon will have the lid up on it, looking down inside. These dudes are serious scavengers. Man, we're just killing the jacks, and you can see them going by. We're having a blast. The next day, we get back across, and Casey had caught a shark. Me and Carrie were leaving.
Yeah, okay. Let me expand on this a little bit. I don't know. For some reason, it was time for us to go. I
Right.
feel like,
It was getting close to dark.
yeah, but it's shark 30.
Yeah.
Right? And we were trying to figure out how to keep fishing a little bit. I think we were trying to send Mama back across by herself. She wouldn't do it. She
Yeah,
made you
I had
go
to
with
carry
her.
her back.
Yeah. Well, y'all picked up my bag and took it with you, and my camera was in that bag. And while y'all are gone, as you're paddling
I
off.
can hear the reel ripping.
Yeah, my clicker goes to going off on my reel as y'all are leaving, and you're like, oh no. Well, I end up catching a 7-foot 1-inch bull shark by myself, no camera or nothing to prove that this
The biggest one we've caught yet.
biggest shark we've caught as a family, and nobody saw it but me.
Right.
And there we go.
We did, though, standing on one of those jetties, we'd see about 11 or 12-foot tiger just suspended. You remember seeing that shark out there?
Yeah, and he's putting his pec fins up in the air and stuff. It's
I
weird.
don't know what was going on, but we could see him. Because he'd been out in the yak and had caught a jack and was fighting that jack. And next thing, all of a sudden, he just feels it goes, bam, reels it up. Ain't nothing but the head left on the jack. The shark done bit it off. It was kind of on at that time.
Boy, and that was a cool trip because it's like the Spanish sardines were in the channel and the tide would bring them out. And as soon as they got to like where the jetties ended, it was just bait ball craze where kingfish and reds and jacks and sharks are just for about 5 minutes.
We've seen a few tarpon.
Yeah.
I had a king jump right in front of me. Looked like it's going 4 or 5 foot in the air right over, I was like, golly, bum, you want to catch them so bad. But we did all this. Carrie was freaked out. We was talking about her being a trooper. And we get back to the motel, or we stayed at in some kind of
was it
little condo.
Beach View or something like that?
Beach View condo. Kind of an expensive deal. But anyway, the next day I was like, I didn't think she'd want to. I said, Carrie, what do you want to do today? She said, I want to go back across where the fish are. So that'll tell you.
She got into it. We kind of got into this whole outdoor thing as a family pretty much. Like, Pop kind of introduced us into some stuff. His dad didn't do hardly anything like you talked about. He started going to Colorado with some of his buddies back in the day.
Yeah, I know. Probably the mid-'70s, probably.
Yeah, and
I don't even know how they came up with the idea to do it. They just all decided we ought to go up there and go mule deer hunting.
Yeah, they're going deer hunting.
Yeah.
Big deer live up there. We go get big deer, right?
Well, there's some whoppers.
Yeah.
But where they got the idea, I have no idea.
Yeah, and how they figured out that you could even go up there and do it.
Yeah, on national forest land, and they killed some big mule deer back then. There were a lot more mule deer than there were elk at that time.
Yeah, and then I guess, how old were you the first time you went?
18.
18. That was when Pop shot that cow?
No, we went to the small part of Uncompadre, me and Pop and Pancho, my cousin Pancho, and I think there might have been somebody else with us. But anyway, that's where Pop used to go with his other buddies, around Lone Cone Mountain kind of. And
that's draw now.
Is it? Lone Cone? Mm-hmm. But anyway, we were kind of mule deer hunting, and I think maybe that we might have had one elk. We were rifle hunting at that time. Yeah, it really wasn't any good. You'd see a few animals, but it wasn't. It isn't nothing like what we got going on the last few years as far as.
Well, you did that with him when you were young, and then you're still young, but
Well, there's a difference in a teenager and a 55-year-old.
I guess when you're about my age, around 30 or so, y'all kind of all loaded up and kind of refocused in on the bow. Kind of around about the same time y'all were going to the bow shop and stuff, probably, right?
Yeah.
Like a little bit after that, you and Danny Plunkett and Pop and a couple of his buddies, y'all all started going up there and archery hunting some, and that's kind of, y'all learned what elk did, right?
Exactly.
What's Plunkett's story?
First time we go up there archery hunting, we let my buddy Plunkett out at this one spot we call the Green Gate. He gets out, take a right, walk down there until you see a big draw. That's where you go hunt at. Get back to camp that evening. Plunkett says, I don't know what's going on, but there's two somethings whistling at each other down there. He said, they're just whistling back and forth. I don't know what they are. Well, that's when we figured out it was, I was like, man, that's elk. That's what that is, whistling at each other. And, boy, we chased them all over the mountain. Me and him did. We'd do our bugling and I beating on brush, and just and we had a big bull going, but he had one cow with him, and I bet we chased him 2 miles, and he'd come back and he'd go back to her and come back and go back to her. But we had a lot of fun with it. We didn't kill nothing, but it was a lot of fun.
Y'all took me up there a couple times whenever y'all were doing that.
Like in the 4th grade, I just take you out of school. It's like you're gonna learn more in the mountains than you're gonna learn in the 4th grade. That's just the way.
That's how I feel, man. We're in this quarantine stuff right now,
That kind of proves stuff, don't it?
Oh, man, they've been trying to. My wife's a teacher. I got 2 kids in school, basically, and they've been trying to get these teachers to get homework to kids. The first time that my wife had to call the kids in her class, they all answered. And since then, nobody will answer.
Oh, they won't answer.
They don't care. You know, none of the kids, none of the parents care. They don't want to deal with it. And because like not all the kids in our area have internet or phone service, because a lot of these people have, are paying for minutes or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
Like they have to go. My wife's had to go and hand deliver to different houses homework and stuff like that. And then it just eventually it got to the point where like. I think somebody in our region kind of got coronavirus, and they think that they got it from handing out homework.
All right.
And so it just shut down, and it's just like, I don't know. I'm kind of put out with it all, because it's just like these kids are losing 2 months of education. It's not going to hurt them that bad.
No.
You know what I mean?
They're going to have to relearn it next spring, next fall anyways, whether we had the coronavirus or not.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I feel bad for seniors and stuff like that, that
They kind of feel like they got ripped off, I'm sure.
Sure. But like, fourth graders, sixth graders, whatever. Like, it's just like, man, these kids, and that's the way I feel like my kids are out there, digging in the dirt, learning more than they would be at school. Probably.
Who else's kids knows what a mulberry is and what kind of birds eat them?
Yeah,
right.
I mean, both of my kids have been, I teach them stuff like that, and a lot of people don't really value that kind of stuff that much, but like. I mean, both my kids know all kinds of animals, When they go
Jet's a dinosaur master.
Dude, when they go on like a zoo trip for the school,
they're the tour guide.
My son is the tour guide, man.
That's cool.
All the teachers are like, we had our personal tour guide today. It was Jet, or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. There's other ways to learn stuff, man. And, he's luckily, I've been blessed with a couple of pretty smart kids, so they can pick up on stuff in school pretty quickly, and I don't have to worry about them.
One of those years that I went to Colorado with y'all was in elementary school. I had a pretty cool teacher, and she kind of like laid out a plan for me while I was there. Like I kind of had a couple things I needed to do. I needed to write like a journal, or maybe you
I made you do the journal that way. Like at this age, you could look back at it.
You have that somewhere around? I need to look at that
somewhere.
Yeah,
I don't know where.
I bet maybe my mom knows where it's at.
Probably so.
But I had to like bring back like show and tell stuff.
Yeah.
And the first time I went, we were you've been on that road, the sketchy road to get back to like the Green Gate area. You never went to the Green Gate, but you know where I'm talking about. Kind of. Anyways, is that kind of sketchy road? Well, used to. I think it never was legal to actually drive down there, but the sign was down.
Yeah, the poster were no poster.
There wasn't no marker said you couldn't go.
Right.
So they drive way in
we
like
took a
4 or
Ram
5
Charger
miles.
back in there.
Yeah. Well, on the way out, one of those big old aspen trees had blown over the road, so we had to like chop axe our way. I was too young, but they had to chop axe their way out of there for us to get out. So I remember taking some of those pieces of chopped up aspen or whatever back and telling about that.
Yeah.
That was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I didn't go to Colorado for a long time hunting or whatever. And then I kind of came back from
high
college.
school come in, football and everything else.
I mean, Tyler knows all about that. He had 4 more years of football than I did. Think about the missing out. The reason he killed all those deer in Kansas in December is because he didn't get to hunt in November. For most of the time.
Yeah.
So
I can remember in 2009 we played in the Hawaii Bowl, and we played on Christmas Eve, and we flew back Christmas Day. And then 2 days later, I shot a big old 6-point in Kansas.
All right.
So that's kind of how it was. I didn't play on a ton of good teams. We had really my high school team and my college team were both good my last year.
Yeah.
And so like we weren't always playing in December or late November, but still you miss out on the best rut stuff.
I remember many times, leaving after a Friday night football game and driving to Central Texas to go to Deer Lease for a day and a half.
Me and Cody used to. We left a couple times, I think, from a baseball game on a Friday night and went turkey hunting, out in wherever, West Texas or whatever,
It's crazy how, and this is kind of, amongst other things, like having a kid, there's a ton of value in having them participate in sports, but at the same time, when I was in sports, and you probably have similar, thoughts. Like, I thought the people that didn't play football, I was like, man, what's wrong? Why don't they do that? What are they doing? And now, 15 years removed, I'm like, and I see those people, like Brennan, outdoorsman or whatever, like it didn't hurt him not to.
Well, Brennan, you're still like, I wonder what's wrong with him.
Yes, that's right. But you know what I mean, though? It's like, maybe sports aren't all they're hacked up to be. I don't know. I think as long as the thing is there is things that you learn when you play sports, and if you're a parent and you also facilitate that knowledge into your child some way or another, you don't miss out on that.
Yeah, I think as a parent, it's tough to do that though.
Yeah.
I think it's easier for some coach that's a little bit disconnected to. I don't know. Maybe I'm pretty soft, honestly, but like, man, I struggle to just be hard nosed against my kids about things sometimes. Like I'm really just. My dad was like pretty just like, I mean, man, he's hard on me for sure. And I'm just a lot more like my mom.
Pushing you into athletics, you mean?
Yeah, and everything. I mean, he was just very strict, noble kind of guy, and man, we fought about all kinds of stuff. We fought physically one time in high school, got my butt whooped real quick. I got stuck down, pinned on the ground, could not move, man. I was bigger than my dad probably at the time, It's just like that old man strength, but yeah, it's if I picture myself being like that towards my son, it almost makes me want to cry, you know, and who knows what's going to happen when he's 17 and I'm, I don't know. I may just be just like my dad, and I'm like my dad in a lot of ways. And I'm not trying to make my dad paint him to be a bad guy at all. We're just different. Yeah. And I'm a little bit more like my mom. And I'm saying that I don't know if that's like a great thing really necessarily, because my mom's pretty soft-hearted and I am too. And so
you don't bring me as many snacks as your mom does.
No, she's always bringing a snack. Yeah, that's
well, on kids, they need an interest. I don't know how I would have felt if Casey's interest had been banned. I'd have had a hard time. I probably would have tried to support it, but I couldn't relate to it. But football, outdoors, something.
Yeah,
a kid needs something to feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
And it's not participation trophies. It's about giving your best, and if you come up short, well, let's go fishing.
I'm not gonna say y'all did, because it's talking about myself. I don't want to say y'all did good or bad, but I like where I'm at in life right now. With the way y'all raised me and whatnot. I think I can say that, and it's been cool to be able to go back as an adult and hunt with you and my mom. And
like Colorado.
Yeah, and now we've killed 2 bull elk, all 3 of us. The first time, y'all were within 60 yards of me. The second time, y'all were...
Well, we're in there in the mix
shoulder
together,
to shoulder,
making it happen.
Yeah.
It's cool, man. It's definitely a cool thing.
Yeah, it's a neat deal, man. I know that not every family's going to be, have that dynamic where they can all do that together, but it's been neat for us. And
my mom definitely would not do that. I can promise. She
hey,
swerves
let me
for
tell you
butterflies.
this, though. But,
oh, my goodness.
My mom in the 90s wouldn't have, but I think it's kind of the only child thing where, like, if I was into it, she was going to figure it out and do it. You know what I mean? She didn't have her girl.
Yeah.
I was her girl.
Well, my mom, I guess, that's why you grew your hair out.
That's right. But
my mom's got her girl, you know, and she would never. I mean, she's, the catching deers guy. That it resonates with me because my mom cannot say, "Did you kill something?"
Oh, really?
Or shoot or anything.
Did you catch any?
Did you catch any? Yeah, did you catch one? I'm like, we were turkey hunting. What do you mean?
Grab it by the foot. Yeah, but kind of what we wanted to really kind of end up in this podcast was to, maybe get your take, and this is something we'll do along the way with different guests probably, but like, what are some of the things that you can do, not to make sure your kid has interest in the outdoors, because it's okay if they don't, right? But if you
I don't know if I'll be okay if they don't.
Yeah, but
honestly,
it's okay. It's not a matter of salvation.
You're absolutely right. The only thing worth taking serious is that.
Yeah.
But outdoors.
Yeah, I know.
Man, come on.
It's important, right?
Yeah,
so,
sure.
like, let's say it this way. How do you
foster that?
Yeah, how do you foster your own passions in your kid without turning them away from it?
Encourage them and don't push them beyond their limits,
Is that what you were doing? around the pasture.
I was encouraging you, boy.
Well, he
you
learned
ain't
it.
going to be the fat kid sitting on the couch, I can promise you.
Well,
I
he
wasn't
was
at
just- he was-
my limit yet at that
No,
point.
you had a good limit. I mean, it's the sky's the limit. You know, well, that's how I felt about it. We're going to get tough. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of way.
There's that's what my dad did for me too.
You
When I-
got to know, though, you know, you can push a kid too far and they'll totally rebel. I knew guys that their dads was just hard on them. And it's like money. Money can ruin people. But for one person, $10 million won't ruin them. Next person, $1,000. They're like, well, I'm rich.
Yeah.
You know, and you're ruined.
We'll buy some drugs.
Yeah, that's about what it amounts to, honestly.
Yeah.
You just don't know. And that's when you're, I think you kind of got to read the kid a little bit and see what they're capable of. And then a lot of times encouraging more so than discipline. But get them something in, you know, looking at bugs. Most time little kids like to look at bugs. And, you know, let's check this out and check that out. And, boy, you know.
Conversation Tyler and I have pretty often is like, say on outdoor TV, which we only get to watch when we go on hunting trips because we don't have TV. You see these kids on their first hunt, and it's like it's real cool for on a television show to show a kid shooting like a 350-inch bull. It's like, oh, that's awesome! It's your first animal, or a giant buck or something. You know, yeah, we took them down to Los Banditos in South Texas, and they got to shoot a
We
giant.
paid $10,000 and
Yeah.
the kid got one. What do you know?
Yeah.
He can shoot.
I mean,
you might
and-
as well shoot that rock.
But at the same time, everybody likes the story of a kid on the first hunt shooting a big buck, even if it isn't like a setup deal, right?
Right.
What do you feel about a kid having instant success in a situation like that?
I don't think they'll appreciate it. You know,
Can they though? I mean, is it a guaranteed ruin?
No, it ain't a guaranteed run. It's like the deal with too much money, you know, from one fellow to the next,
Yeah.
or lady either. You don't know too much, but I don't like it. I don't like game ranches. Honestly, I don't like. You're just paying to shoot an animal. You're just shooting. You're not hunting. And when you carry a kid and you let them shoot that 175 whitetail the first time, they didn't work up from a doe to a spike, and you know, and it ain't about the horn so much. You know, you ought to enjoy. It's like I can go to Colorado now and I don't have to hunt. You know, but
Yeah.
I'm just there with you, and you just ought to enjoy it. Maybe there's a bird or there's a squirrel or some type of
Well,
fern you've never seen.
Like our coolest memory from last year, or not 2 years ago. Not coolest, because the coolest was us shooting the elk together. But one of the coolest things was we were there on the side of a mountain, and a hummingbird flies up and tries to eat Mama's fletchings.
we
It's like, well,
freaked
that's
out.
cool.
She had some pink fletchings on this hummingbird. I guess it's a broadtail. Wasn't that what was
Yeah, or maybe a rufus. I don't know.
anyway?
One
but,
of those two.
There's nothing to indicate there ought to be any hummingbirds anywhere, and we're on the side of the mountain. No flowers, no nothing. Hummingbird, there he is. Flew up. Like, what the heck was that?
Yeah.
I got a video clip last year in the Gila of KC. We had a bull at like 120 yards probably, screaming up the hill. Had cows. We could see the cows, I think, at the time. And same deal. He had this little orange deal hanging off his backpack or whatever. I think it was on that GPS maybe.
Yeah.
And I think it was either the GPS or it was a little orange piece of rope. And I got the video clip of the hummingbird coming up,
Checking
and
it
like
out.
he was checking that, and he was checking a flower, and I think I got him on the flower, and then I went back to KC, and he was like headed up the hill, you know. But it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
It's little things like that you remember.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
But-
how, you know, and I think about this when you're talking about the deer, shooting a deer, you know, his first deer or whatever. And I can remember that when I was 9, getting ready to shoot my first deer, we hunted all year. I didn't shoot the deer till December that year. And if it would have been a doe, I mean, I probably would not be more excited today to shoot a big buck than I would have been to shoot a doe when I was 9, you know. And that's kind of like, that's the thing that some people might just, you know, not know, man. It's like, man, if your kid really likes what is about to happen and what he's getting into, like a doe is going to be something.
Oh, it'll be plenty.
Oh,
Yeah.
plenty,
Yeah.
plenty of excitement.
Pop tells a story. I think you are in Uvalde, and you were hunting off a windmill.
Junction. I
Junction.
wasn't hunting off a windmill. I was hunting out of a deer stand in a tree by a windmill. I shot a buck. My first buck is like a decent little 8-point. You know, not much of a deer, 2.5-year-old 8-point. You know, I got it down. I gutted it. I was so excited. I climb up this windmill. After a while, I had a 2x12 at the top. It's like 25 foot in the air. And I'm so excited, and I start throwing up off the top of that. I couldn't move. Buck fever done set in. I done kill me a 92 score, 92 8 points. But the adrenaline took hold.
Yep. So got so pumped up about your first buck, you climbed a windmill.
I did. I'm gonna climb up there and see a long ways.
Yeah.
Did you throw up downwind?
I was in top of the windmill.
I'm hoping it wasn't upwind.
No.
You know, and that's kind of a funny thing to think about, and it's not a mistake, I don't think, on your pop's part, but I was so young when I shot my first deer that I didn't really have much of that. It's just kind of like, oh, I shot one.
Well, you'd been around when we had shot them, and
That's true.
I killed one time, and we were hunting in Hexed.
Yeah.
And it was a decent buck, and you couldn't have been 7. And man,
I was 5.
Were you 5?
Yes.
When you came
That's when
up,
it rained in on me.
when you came up, you got them horns, and the deer's dead on the ground, and you're jumping on it and kicking it and dragging him around by the horn. You know, it just got all fired up. Ridiculous. That's the same. What is it, Hexed or Brownwood?
No, that was
Same place the emus like to eat you.
No, that was a different place because the emus was in Brownwood.
Oh, okay.
But that was with the
Is this
blind
where y'all
guy.
hunted them?
Huh? Yeah,
that's where y'all hunted
where I
them?
hunted the emus. But this story he's telling about me
that's
karate
right.
chopping the buck. I was 5. Power Rangers were cool.
Oh, yeah, man,
I was
he was
Power
on.
Ranger.
He Power Rangered this
I learned
buck to
this
pieces.
like that. Probably looking back, that might have been like the catalyst to like me liking hunting leases and all that kind of stuff, because we went down there. Blind Gary was the guy who was the lease owner. Really, we just hunted in his backyard about near. He had a pile of beer cans. I didn't know that's what it was, but he had a pile of cans that was legit 10 foot tall.
And drink himself blind?
Oh, my gosh. And this blind guy is walking around showing us what a trapdoor spider is. Now, how does a blind guy... Also, I think he's barefooted, if I remember right.
I think that's probably about right. That's also the place that we were sitting there hunting, and the night before opening season, a truck blows past us, goes down there and goes spotlighting, and right where we're fixing this bunch of kids, teenage kids, poaching.
Yeah.
It's like, golly, bum on,
And there was,
on our lease.
There was peacocks on that place, too.
Was
I remember we were hunting, and then you'd be up on the side of this hill looking down the valley, and a peacock stroll through.
Man,
That's a Texas story.
Yeah.
You know?
Man, there's always a good story about some old ranch hand or something on a lease, you know.
Oh, yeah.
We had one time
man.
we went to a place we were going to do a weekend of turkey hunting on out west, and the guy that we were meeting, the ranch hand, was named Bluford. Bluford was his name. And he shows up. Bluford is wearing blue jeans. He's wearing a blue denim shirt. He's got a blue Ford, and he's got a blue healer in the back of it.
Oh, everything's blue.
I mean,
What color was his eyes?
I don't remember that, but probably blue. Oh, it was. There's always something like that, man.
Almost every lease is that way. We had a guy named Doc in El Dorado. You know, Doc. Oh, he talked like this. You know,
He had a mullet with a Jerry curl. You know,
That's where I got my hairstyle
thinking-
from
I was
Doc.
thinking.
And he's one of those guys. He wore button-up pearl snaps that had the sleeves cut out. You know, and tight
yeah.
breeches.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was a character, man. He drove us around, just showed us the lease. And I can remember, I think it was me and Pop were in the back of the truck, maybe or something, kind of riding around. Only some people could sit in the front. And I remember seeing like a big buck laid up in the.
we were seeing them audads in there too.
Oh, yeah.
Man, what's that?
Man, that was cool. And then
Where was this?
El
in El
Dorado.
Dorado.
A guy killed a 180 across the road from us down there. It was some big
Giants. And then we lost the lease after he killed the 180, of course. Now you can find that on Hunting Lease Network for like $8,000 a gun. But we had it for like $800 a gun.
Yeah, right.
It was
bad.
nice. I mean, it's a good hunting place.
Had a lot of turkeys on it too.
Yeah, it did. We never shot one. I nearly got shot by Pop trying to hunt turkeys. I think I've told that story before. But, always stories. And the same kind of thing happened on that lease. That families' kids came out there opening weekend
day,
of
drove right
rifle
past.
season, drove right through the middle of the thing, hunting like they always do. It's like, hey, we're leasing this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, our buddy who we're leasing the place with, he shoved a bunch of mud up in the key or up in the lock. That way they couldn't get through the gate.
Oh, my goodness.
Maybe that's why we lost the lease. I don't know.
Yeah.
Man, lots of good
When
stories.
you spend good money on it, you expect,
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah,
would
dude.
respect them. I wouldn't shoot the place up and kill stuff and leave it laying or nothing like that. And you hope that they're not hunting it when you're not away, but it goes on a lot. Hey, they're not coming down this weekend.
It happens
I
almost
guarantee you.
every lease.
Well, that's like we hunted Oklahoma a few years when I was kind of in college, and my dad, paid for a lease for me or whatever to go up there and him, and we it was northern Oklahoma. There was some birds. There's pretty good quail and pheasant population around there, and the landowner always wanted us to call before we came.
That's
the
common.
only reason, man.
That's
the only reason.
That's that why their cousin ain't out there.
It never met us or nothing. I'm sitting on a stand one time out by this creek, and all of them, it's section, mile by mile country. So I'm sitting a couple hundred yards into this section, and I'm sitting there. It's a good day, but it's kind of late in the season. I need something to happen, and all of a sudden this truck comes by, and the guys pull out, and they start walking down to the creek. They get like 75 yards from me, and they go, "Oh, there's a guy right there," and they just took off. And I'm like, this dude's running hunters in here hunting birds, just while we got this place leased for deer,
Drive you nuts.
It does, man. It's not cool, because then you think about like what's happening on that place on November 10th when pheasant opens up and you're not there, and it's the middle of the rut. What's going on, man?
Yeah, and that's kind of why we kind of got out of the lease game, that, and just got priced out of it, and that's kind of where.
Well, we can go, for us, me and your mom and you, when you go to Colorado once a year, and pretty satisfied. And if I wanted to hunt whitetails, honestly, there's more whitetails in this area than there is out there nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, in our neighborhood, you can count 150 anything.
How many are you going to shoot this year?
I ain't going to shoot any of them, but I like looking at them. I mean, we got a 13 point coming on. It's going to be 4.5 years old.
Would you
Maybe
call
5.
yourself a hunter?
Absolutely.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
But I'd rather carry a kid and let them do the hunting than
I mean, that's good.
But
I'd consider KC a kid if you want to take him around
all
here.
right, cool.
I shaved.
There's a
Baby face.
there's a good.
I'll put a feeder out in the yard, and you can pick
For
one
real.
up.
That,
We
please.
can put us up some cedar screening around your yard.
There's some 17 of them come through every day.
I know it. Head gummit.
Take your pick.
Catch them on a treble hook and an apple out there.
That's about all.
Then your mom can say, yep,
Yep,
did. I
I did
caught
caught
one.
a deer. I did catch a deer.
Oh, man. Yep. But I don't know. That's kind of how we end up, kind of really how the element came to be, is that public land became kind of the only option for me as a whitetail hunter. And then in 2016, I started dragging you out there with me a little bit. And
Well, I
Crazy.
had gotten fed up. I had tried to find some permission around here. That is impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up here, but my parents didn't. And so we don't have any family
Yeah,
from this
right.
area, you know what I mean? And if you don't, you're
out of
not
luck.
you're not gonna get free hunting land, man. And it's hard to pay for leases even. I was finding issues with, I'd ask guys, I'd ask them for permission first, and I don't think so, and then I go, well, can I pay you a couple $100 if it was a good place or whatever, and they would be like, oh no, and I'm like, if you go west of the Metroplex, everybody's got at least for cattle, they got at least for deer, they got at least for quail, they got turkey season lease, Out here, it's like, if you're not, if it's a lease for cattle, they're not going to do anything else on it, man. It's just frustrating. So anyway, we got to know each other, and I'm struggling finding permission, and y'all got priced out of lease game, and pretty much just started following you around on public for a little while, and
had some crazy things happen the first year.
been
And
the
then
most
it's
difficult thing ever.
been tough ever since.
I'd rather take my chances on government land than spend nowadays $2,500 to $5,000.
Yeah.
And not, if you're not there every weekend, not knowing what's going on when you're not there. Out here on government land, you can honestly, there's a few places you can push harder and go deeper and be in there further and get away and put in more effort and reward. That's what it is when we go to Colorado. If just get in there and walk a mile or two, and you'll get away from the roads a little bit, and your success rate goes way up. There's places close to here that you can go do the same thing.
Yeah.
Without a little more effort.
Yep.
Yeah, we've put out some effort. So
Yeah, we have.
hopefully
We do, I mean, one thing we've tried to do is find places that are not super deep, but are just not on everybody's radar. And that's, in some cases, paid off for us. In some cases, it's bit us pretty good,
The thing is,
So-
we're always trying to be efficient.
Exactly.
And it's not efficient to push in deep because there's a good chance still that you don't kill anything.
Yeah.
So we try to be efficient. And I think that if we did push in deep, sometimes we would do better. But it's just so hard to talk yourself into doing it when you think this is something y'all kind of instilled in me growing up, and I always assume I'm smarter than the next guy, probably to a fault, right? That's not always a good thing to do, but at the same time, it's good to have that confidence, right? And it's something as a hunter, you kind of need that kind of confidence when you hit the woods. And if you can, hit public land with that thought in mind, you think you can look at a map and out scheme the deer, out scheme the other hunters that are out there and find decent holes. And we've done it.
Well, I mean, I hunted Iowa last year, and there was a couple of hauls I did by myself that were difficult and just far and up big ridges and through creek bottoms and stuff. I'm willing to do that when I feel like, you know what I mean? It's different here sometimes because you can go a mile and a half back and the deer still just kind of wander through areas. They don't get on a trail and pinch through an area that much sometimes, and it's just, you go to Iowa and you can read the topography and where the ag field corners are, and like, man, if I sit up there, I'm gonna have deer come by me. May not be a shooter or whatever.
Well, here you're dealing on large public oak trees, acorns. I've hunted places before, deer everywhere, plumb up to Thanksgiving. And something changes, something else falls, they've either wiped out this acorn crop or what, but another acorn tree oak tree starts putting off, and them deer are gone. You can't find the deer. They've moved on. They're doing somewhere else. There's not so much ag around here like you're talking about there.
Yeah.
It's about the acorns and what's going on with them a lot of times.
Yeah, and there's so many different types of oak trees around here. It's like,
and water oaks are going to be falling all year long.
That's right. Like, I mean, even like tree to tree, man. There could be a swamp oak that drops 3 weeks later than another swamp oak, and it's like
that moved them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's tough.
You gonna do any whitetail hunting this year?
No, I won't do no whitetail.
You gonna do any elk hunting this year with a bow in your hand?
Maybe not. But I got a satisfied mind. It's like Joe Dale said. You got to have a satisfied mind. So I can if I want.
Who said that?
Joe Dale Hoover.
You know who Joe Dale Hoover is?
I do. Yeah. That's my wife's granddad.
All right.
Yeah.
That's your granddad?
That's my wife's granddad.
That's cool. We catfished with him, and he'd say, boy, you just got to have a satisfied mind. That's meaning.
My wife's a Hoover.
If you caught one or you didn't catch one, it didn't matter. It's your mind.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel about hunting. I don't know. It'd take a special something to make me want to whitetail hunt. A good, solid place that I knew wasn't getting shot up. But elk hunting, just be there. If I'm calling and they're responding, what more do you need? Mm-hmm. If you don't kill one, you ain't got to pack one out.
That's right.
If you do kill one, you get to eat for a year. So
yeah.
Carrie gonna get one this year?
Carrie's gonna have a good opportunity.
That's good.
She had a good opportunity last year.
20 yards, good opportunity.
That's why I asked her, you gonna bring a bow?
Yeah.
So somebody needs to put elk on the ground. Yeah. Well, do you want to tell everybody what Hurt University is?
Oh, the Hillbilly Institute of Research and Technology.
Hit.
It's Hurt.
Hurt. Okay.
Yes. Where theories are tested and bones are broken. I've got a whole. I'm famous.
What? Say it again. Theories are tested and bones are broken.
Yes. The Hillbilly Institute of Research and Technology, where theories are tested and bones are broken.
All right.
I gotta hear a little bit of elaboration here.
What is? Yeah, give me a syllabus from Hart University.
Oh well, I don't know. A week ago, I got a whole thing worked up in my mind. I had this retirement plan, and the stinking coronavirus killed it.
Oh, no.
It was bass tournaments. I was going, they're highly profitable. Your odds are better. Odds are better than the lottery. What's 1 to 16 million? There isn't 16 million boats on the lake. I live on the lake. I should know the lake. And my whole plan was to fish bass tournaments and win bass tournaments. That was my game plan.
Yeah.
And what happened? The corona come
got
along
canceled.
and killed it. But I'll elaborate on this. I've got it all written down in the truck how I want to say it, so I don't have it in front of me. But
all right.
My skeeter, or my parents probably lost more money on the skeeter tournament being canceled than you probably would have.
Yeah.
So.
And that's.
Yeah, no.
That's their income as opposed to playing around trying to.
Well, skeeter, they stay there like a week, and rent the whole lodge pretty good chunk of money for my parents,
Sure.
you know, and man, they're like bummed right now as far as that goes.
I'm sure
Yeah.
they are. A lot of people are hurting.
Luckily, my dad's still building a few houses here and there, so
Yeah.
they'll be all right. It's just that particular business is in the tank, man.
Right.
Tell them I hear Hurt University's hiring professors.
My mom's a teacher, you know.
That's
so
right.
She's
All right.
been teaching for
She's
30 plus
educated.
years or something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't want to make her sound too old, but it's around 30 years, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you want to tell your fans anything else?
Well, that's about it.
All right. Well, thanks for sitting down and hanging out with us
Yeah,
tonight.
it's
It's kind of
fun.
fun. I mean, we have talks like this all the time, you know, but it's a kind of one of the things I found about podcasting, especially with friends and family, is that it gives it a format to where you get to have like conversations in a different way than you used to would. Mm-hmm. Because some reason you put on these headphones and people stop talking over each other and then they listen a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
Yeah.
like we hang out, me, you, and my wife and my mom in here all the time. We're all cutting up, laughing, but like you end up having these side conversations and
Yeah.
all this, and there's like a steady stream, and it's kind of
It's like your story about the bat the other day, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You were 10 seconds into it, about to hit the best line, and then, you know, one of the girls started talking, and you just forget where you're going, you know?
Yeah, and you know, some things are better left unsaid too. Some stories are for the boys. You know what I mean?
It's a bat. It's a bat. It's a bat.
Anyways, Butch Smith, thanks for hanging out with us tonight
Yep,
on the
I enjoyed
podcast. If somebody wants to see what you got going on, where would we send them?
Butch and Carrie birding.
All right, Butch and
Yeah.
Carrie birding. That's what y'all do nowadays.
We do a lot of it.
You gonna put your elk hunting on there?
outdoor enthusiast? Yeah, probably so.
Cool.
What bird are you gonna see in the Elkwoods this year?
We see that Clark's nuthatch up there.
Yeah.
And the scrub jays are really interesting. This year, I think I'm going to carry bird feeders and set them up at camp. Other than
That's cool.
not right at camp.
Suet feeders. You worried about bears, aren't
Yes,
you?
worry about bears. You don't want to feed bears while you're at camp. Hummingbird feeders, it'd be way cool to get them, you know, Colorado hummingbirds and a suet feeder, and maybe some sunflower seeds.
What's a soot feeder?
Basically, it's
Lard.
suet lard. That we've got them in the front yard. Titmice, chickadees, downy woodpeckers, three-toed woodpeckers in Colorado. Saw him up there. But, you know, up there you got an opportunity to see, I think there's 700 and something different species of birds in North America, and I've got like 250 of them. That's all I've got. So that'll tell you how many more are out there to be seen.
How do you say that right there?
Cerulean warbler.
That's a cool bird.
Yeah, he is cool.
Y'all saw one recently, right?
Yeah, we're down at San Bernard Wildlife Refuge.
Yeah.
You know, we was talking about earlier, pushing harder, doing, and sometimes it's about doing something a little different. You know, talking about hunting or going somewhere, you do something a little different, and sometimes something can happen. Well, we were down there at San Bernard. We were basically birding, looking for birds. Next thing you know, we catch that alligator doing his grumble. You know, that's pretty cool. You know, I'd never seen that before. Mm-hmm. It's something a little different. That's gives you an appreciation. You know, it's like the hummingbird on the side of the mountains. Like,
Yeah.
hey, man, that's cool.
Yeah, that's right. We were talking about the other day. Like you got to give amazing an opportunity to happen.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You know, if you do like the normal all the time, amazing things can't really happen. But if you hunt the road ditch legally, you know, but like you hunt 5 yards from the road, you can't shoot a giant 5 yards from the road if you don't hunt there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like going, we're going to go fishing. Well, we're going to go catch the same sand bass over and over and over and over and over. If you don't occasionally go over here and try to catch a largemouth or, you know,
Yeah.
you're never going to happen, you know.
You don't take a 19-foot flat bottom 12 miles off
That's
coast,
right.
you know.
Well,
You never
yeah,
know.
You're right.
That's right.
But good judgment.
Builds character, though.
It does build character. I
That's
guess.
right.
Well,
That's
you
right.
paid it forward in chasing KC around that property, right?
Yeah.
You're scared of instances in the ocean there.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, the ladies have emerged from the room with the baby. That means
inner
it probably is time for us to come to an end. But thanks for hanging out with us and talking tonight. And I hope that someone kills an elk this year.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'll help her pack it out.
Good.
Yeah.
Guys, I think just kind of as a takeaway, you know, remember what's important in life. Remember to hang out with your family, to show some value there, to make sure that you don't always make things seem more important than they are. But at the same time, you know, if you care about something, pass that on. And that's a cool thing to do. So remember to do that. And remember, this is your element.
Live in it.
Hey guys, turkey season is in full swing right now, and if you are planning on getting after it, make sure to pick up some Meat Eater Phelps turkey calls to stuff into the old turkey vest or into your fanny pack right now. I carry a few different things. I like to use mouth calls, and I like to use pot calls. Mouth calls or diaphragms, I like them because it gives you hand-free calling, meaning when you're working a bird up close, you can have your gun on your knee, finger on the trigger, ready to roll, and still be making turkey sounds. I like pot calls because I just like pot calls. I enjoy calling with a pot call. Whatever direction you go, including a box call, which I don't personally use too much, but they're fun and great, and I started out with them. Yanni, on the other hand, one of my main turkey hunting buddies, he loves box calls. And what's funny is I'll now and then look to him and give him the look that means get out your box call and find us a turkey. So it's not that I don't like them. I just have Yanni use his. Then I don't have to carry it. Go to Phelps Game Calls. Get calls that are made in the USA and get calls that'll get them close. Find yours at phelpsgamecalls.com today.